Alright, hi everybody. Yesterday was National Aviation Day, so I figured I'd put out a video showing how amazing this new Microsoft Flight Simulator game is. We're going to take off from Youngstown, Lansdowne, runway 20, which is pretty much an abandoned airfield on the northeast-ish side of the city. And I'm going to talk you through a couple things and explain what makes this so special. We'll take off right around that time. Okay. So, this is the newest iteration of Flight Simulator since Flight Simulator 10 that came out in 2006, back when I graduated high school. So it's been a while. And boy, what a game this is. The improvement is unbelievable. It's so realistic. The Earth in general, the elevations are incredible. The amount of trees and how alive the world feels is pretty crazy. There's almost 400 cities that are modeled identical to how they appear in real life using photogrammetry. So Microsoft and Bing Maps have these 3D modeled cities that they take a bunch of pictures from different angles and they're able to totally 3D map that area, similar to how Google Maps and Google Earth have it for a lot of cities, which includes Youngstown. Unfortunately, Bing Maps does not have Youngstown 3D modeled yet. I'm hopeful that it's going to occur in the future, and those updates will find their way into the game. We do have bird's eye imagery and the satellite imagery for the city, so that's why I'm hopeful. So on our trip, everything's modeled pretty accurately still. Now it's not a one-to-one comparison of things, but it's pretty damn close. So if there's a house somewhere, the house is in the game. The downtown buildings are modeled decent. I mean, it's not perfect. There's one glaring issue with YSU Stadium that we'll fly over and I'll point out. And, you know, some of the things aren't as tall as they should be, or they're taller than they should be. But other than that, it's pretty incredible, and it's all through the use of artificial intelligence. It's able to look at the building, the shadow length, and sort of infer how tall the building is. So we'll talk about that a little bit more once we get up in the air. But as you can see, you enter the game, and the nice cinematic entrance to get you amped up to go flying, I guess. So this is a pretty cool little plane. It's called a Cub Crafter's Super Cub, and it's what's called like a bush plane. So like these are real fun to fly in and around Alaska, anywhere where there's pretty crazy approaches. Like earlier today, I flew up to Lake Erie, this beach we go to up near Paynesville, and I set it down on the beach, and it was pretty cool. So right off the bat, you could see the detail. I mean, there's grass, there's tall grass, the trees are insane. It's pretty crazy. So I'm actually going to put on, give us a little bit of light here, and we're going to get rolling. So let's get up in the air. So it's pretty nice, the little, try not to go off the runway. This thing's a little finicky, although this plane wouldn't care. But they give you a nice little heads-up display of what's going on with your instruments and everything, which is pretty cool. So I just want to make sure I was recording. That would have sucked. So I mean, you can see the clouds. It's pretty incredible. The sun's over there. I mean, look at I think that's lens flare, but it's pretty crazy. So you can see right off the bat a lot of the houses and structures for the area. And right now we're going to be flying over, which I believe is Albert Street, and some of the sort of, I don't know if that's a scrapyard or what that is down there, but you see some of the buildings have flat roofs, some of them have peaked roofs. They get it right for the most part. There's traffic, different vehicles, even on the water and at the airports. Actually, while we're here, I'm going to tune in a frequency. So this is a Cleveland think it's Cleveland Center. I don't know. We'll explain that a little bit more. But we're going to fly over YSU. There's the dorms. So there's buildings on YSU's field where it should be. And you see some tarps and stuff below that. And then the reason it's showing that and not the field of YSU is because the satellite imagery was from one of the concerts that took place there. So it saw tents and a stage and thought, well, that must be a building. But anyway, you see downtown, you see a lot of the buildings at YSU, the downtown buildings, and honestly, they're not perfect, but my God, are they close. Cavelli Center here. So now we're over 680 here in the Himrod Avenue Expressway. We're going to fly along 680 into Boardman so you can get an idea of what that looks like from the air. One of the things that's missing, there's actually two things that are kind of important that are missing, and one of them would be coming up right now, are all the radio antennas. So right here, you'll actually see the shadow crossing 680. There should be like a 1,100 foot radio tower there for WFMJ, and it's missing. I'm sure those will be added after the fact. Same thing goes for the WKBN radio tower that will be in the vicinity of, and those are things you have to watch out when you're flying, including the guy wires. So off our left wing we have the proverbial Steel Valley, some of the abandoned factories. The Mahoning River's there. I'll try to get a good overflight of some water so you can see how realistic that is. The baseball field there is Pemberton Park, where the Booze on First kickball team plays, and we're triumphant yesterday. But so this next interchange is Midlothian, and you can see all the traffic and everything there. There's trucks, there's cars. It's not perfect, but you know, in time it'll get better. So anyway, it's pretty incredible what they've been able to do, and it's only going to get better. They're talking about pretty much using this as the game for the next 10 years and just continue to add improvements to it. It's on PC right now. It's going to be available on one of the, I don't know if it's going to be the next generation Xbox or what it is, but it will be available on Xbox. And there are like throttles and sticks and things you can buy for it that'll allow you to have a sort of realistic experience instead of using an Xbox controller, but they haven't announced when that's going to happen. So you do need a pretty powerful computer. Now that's Sam's Club that just went out of view, and now we're flying over Lowe's and that whole shopping area as we approach 224. The computer I bought was about $1,500. I thought about building my own, but it was just easier to buy it all at once. And I'd rate that as probably an 8 out of 10, you know, with what you could buy. And it works perfect. I'm using the max settings for everything here. And I mean, it's incredible. So you could probably get away with like a $900, maybe even an $800 computer. You just want to make sure you get something with a pretty good graphics card and at least 16 gigs of memory and a newer processor. So if anybody's interested, I could give you some pointers, or if you want to run past one of your purchases or something you're thinking about purchasing, let me know. Got the Southern Park Mall here. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a pretty damn good representation of it. So we're actually going to fly over the Boardman football stadium, and you're going to be able to see something really cool because it's pulling the satellite imagery. I mean, this is everything that you would get from a satellite view. You're actually able to see the field there, Boardman Spartans with the Spartan there. And you may have just heard some air traffic control talking. That's one of the other really cool features with this. You have the ability to fly with your friends and just whoever's flying around the world. But the other option is you actually fly with the live air traffic that is overhead at the time. So that Endeavour flight is like a regional jet. I don't know where he's flying to or where he's going, but if you went on one of the flight tracking apps and looked up Endeavour 4869, you would see it somewhere, probably within a 50-mile radius of where we are right now flying. So that's really cool. So now we're kind of following Glenwood Avenue. I'm going to fly over Lake Newport to give you an idea of how cool that looks. And I don't have the live weather implemented, but it will pull live weather. there's a lot of people that have been flying through the hurricanes, and they have some pretty cool videos of that getting bounced around pretty well. And I guess there's a hurricane or a tropical storm heading for the Caribbean and potentially Florida that people are planning on flying through. I know that's kind of sick, but it kind of gives you a hurricane hunter perspective, I guess. So I'm going to dip down here over Lake Newport pretty low. And you can see the water moving. The water will move according to wind speed. So if there's no wind speed, the water is smooth like glass. But otherwise, there will be waves. And they have one float plane in here that's a lot of fun to fly. It's called an Icon A5. It's a very sporty little float plane, and I've flown it around a bunch. I actually set it down here on Lake Newport, pretty much in the area we're flying over right now. I also landed on Lake Cohasset, which I have no idea how I managed that, but it worked. Kind of do a little flight over the area. They have Lanterman Mill there, sort of. I mean, not perfect, but it's pretty cool. The game doesn't really model waterfalls very good yet, but I'm sure in time it will. I flew over Niagara Falls. All the hotels and all the big buildings up there are accurately modeled, but unfortunately that's about where it ends. The waterfalls look pretty bad, but you know, it'll get better. So I'm going to change the time to show you another cool feature. First of all, to show you how beautiful it is, but then to give you an idea, all the sport fields and everything are lit up. So I'm actually flying over Short Holes, Rocky Ridge, Wick Recreation Area. And apparently my game is stuttering here. Hopefully there we go, sorry about that. And the hockey rink, Dumpster Fire Hockey plays on, and you see Short Holes are lit up like they normally would be. Here's the Cheney practice field, lit up, and the Kramer baseball fields are lit up as well. And now that we can see the moon and some of the stars, all of those things are modeled accurately to where they should be, the phase of the moon, depending on the day and time you're flying. And I mean, is that not beautiful or what? I mean, it's incredible. There's been other flight simulators that you could buy, and they're like $60. You got to dump tons and tons of money into them to try to get something that looks even remotely close to this, and it never works. It doesn't get anywhere near this. The base price for Flight Simulator, I think, is $60. It might be $70. And then there's two versions above that you can utilize as well. The highest one being $120, and that gets you more 3D modeled, like accurately 3D modeled airports, and then a few more planes. It has a couple of jetliners right off the bat. You can fly Airbus A320neo, which is the newest Airbus model, and the 747-800, which is pretty cool. The the highest edition gets you a 787-10 Dreamliner. So back to our little sightseeing tour. We're flying over Champ Park here, all lit up. You see all the fields. We're coming up to the good old 80-11 680 split, as it's so affectionately called, and we are approaching our beloved Racino. So you can see the track there. I know it's a little dark, but you can see the track, and those small little buildings there are all the barns modeled. So pretty good job of, you know, putting things where they need to be and making them as close to real as they should be. We have Meander Reservoir here as well. We'll do a little jaunt down Route 46, and then I'm going to try I think I'm going to change the time back a little bit, and we're actually going to land at this Malacca airfield. It's off of Kirk Road between 46 and 11, and it shows up in a lot of the aviation charts, and yet I've never once seen a plane there take off or land. Sorry about the lag here. I think when I change the times, it gets a little angry. So this is giving you a nice daytime dimension. You can actually see the shadow of my plane on the road right below us there. It's going to be crossing Mahoning Avenue right now, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to set down. You can see that little green strip ahead. And that's going to show you just how immersive this game is. They've gone to the point of adding sounds depending on where you are and the time of day. There's also animals that are here. I haven't seen one yet, but they do exist in the game, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you what that's all about. So it's that little green strip here. We're just going to kind of enter the traffic pattern here. So you're still hearing the air traffic control in the background. So one of the misconceptions is that people have is just because there's an airport that there's probably like some type of air traffic control or something going on, and that's actually not the case. It's pretty rare, actually. Once you get up in the air, you have the ability to talk to air traffic control, and they can offer you assistance as you need it and kind of guide you along. But when you're going into an uncontrolled airfield, which would be this Malacca or Elser on Sherritt Road, or even that Lansdowne if it was still really like an operation, there is I'm going to change the channel, it's getting annoying. There's a common, it's called a CTAF or a Unicom, a common traffic advisory frequency that you put in. And pretty much what you do is you announce your intentions and what you're doing. So like if I were tuned into the Malacca one now, I would be like Malacca traffic, Cub Crafter on downwind runway 18 Malacca, and you just kind of announce what you're doing and what you intend to do. So now we're turning what would be called base. So again, Malacca traffic, Cub Crafter, turning base, runway 18 Malacca. And then when you turn final, you would announce that. So obviously I'm just talking to myself, but that gives you an idea of what happens when you fly into these smaller airfields. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the cockpit view here and set it up, and hopefully I can make you guys proud with this landing. So it's one of the things that's not great is the views, and I need to get better at setting these things up. But anyway, I'm hoping I grease this to make you proud on this grass strip. Butter. So I don't know if you could hear stuff already, but you probably hear some wind. You may have heard some birds chirping. And I'm going to pull off here. Actually shut the engine down. And there you go. You see blades of grass. You hear birds chirping. I think I heard a dog barking there. So this is another reason why this game's so incredible. I hope anyone who actually stayed through this and watched the whole thing enjoyed themselves. I would not do something like this typically because it's pretty weird to be talking to yourself on a video, but this game is that cool and I thought it was worth it, and I wanted to show it to anybody who's interested in airplanes and wanted to get into something like this. So if you have an interest or want to hear more about it or have a request of something you want me to fly over or take a picture or a video of, let me know. And yes, your house is probably here. It doesn't look exactly like it should, but it's here. And hopefully in the future, when we get more 3D modeling, it will be your exact house. So again, thanks, and let me know if you want to learn more.